G'day, America. It's Tony and Ryan from the Tony and Ryan podcast from Down Under.
Today we want to talk to you about Boost Mobile, the newest 5G network in the country.
Offering reliable nationwide coverage backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. Love your service or get your money back, no questions asked.
Boost Mobile's unlimited plan start at just $25 a month and will never increase in price.
The Boost Mobile network, together with their roaming partners, covers 99% of the US population. 5G speeds not available in all areas.
Visit the nearest Boost Mobile or boostmobile.com.
After 30 gigabytes, speeds may slow. $25 per month with active Boost Unlimited plan. Cancel within 30 days for a refund of service fees. Activation and phone payments not refunded.
This episode is brought to you by Paranormal Playback, a new podcast where hosts Shar, Mel and Laura recap the spooky and entertaining world of paranormal reality TV. Each week they take a fresh look at popular shows like Ghost Adventures and Kindred Spirits, blending humour with insight as they pull apart what's happening on screen. The three of them are a mix of believers and skeptics, which makes for really fun conversations, sometimes leaning into mystery, other times asking the questions viewers might be thinking themselves. With their background in creative production, they know how these shows are put together, so they're great at pointing out the moments that feel real versus the ones that might be more for the cameras. And their segment, This Old Haunt, digs into the true crime side of paranormal investigations, separating fact from fiction. With Halloween coming up, it's the perfect time to add something spooky, funny and a little addictive to your playlist. For even more spooky, ghostly, paranormal content with a humorous spin, go check out Paranormal Playback. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Scary. If you're new here, I'm your host Will, and each week I narrate your real life paranormal experiences and some famous paranormal cases as well. As always, before we get into this week's episode, I want to say a special thank you to our new Patreon subscribers, who are Sarah Von Lesh, Tom Slingsby, Kate Barber, Vic, Lisa Tedstill, Rebecca Love, Katie Hemphill, and MJ when K we just got engaged. I presume they just got engaged. Congratulations. Thank you so much for signing up to this show's Patreon, and if this is something you're interested in, you can find the link in this episode's show notes, where you'll gain access to ad-free main episodes and exclusive scary episodes. But now, let's get into our first encounter. I moved to a different part of Manchester back in 2010 after leaving a long and difficult relationship. The new suburb felt like a fresh start. It had this really idyllic feel to it, full of these quirky little shops and bars. It was safe, creative, very family friendly. It just had that kind of energy to it, a real community feel. There was artists, musicians, people who seemed open and warm. It felt like the right place to be. I needed money for rent and bills, so I started working at this European deli right in the heart of that area. It was a really, really busy place. Always buzzing with people. There was queues out the door most days. Customers would come in not just to buy things, but, to talk, to ask for advice about what cheeses to put out at dinner parties, or which meats would go with which wines. It was that kind of place, just full of life. The deli sold all sorts of food you wouldn't typically find in a supermarket. Rare European products and shelves of, unique breads, unusual cakes, and the smell of fresh bread being baked around the back always hanging in the air, which was delicious. The meat counter was packed with sausages and hams from all over the world, and the cheese counter was honestly pretty impressive. We had things there that I'd never heard of. A few weeks into the job, I became close with the manager, Victor. He was in his mid-60s, pretty tall, he wore glasses, and had this calming energy about him. He was what you call spiritual, very soft-spoken, kind of like a gentle giant. He reminded me of Terry Nutkins, if you remember him. That sort of hair and kind face. I wasn't in a great place at the time mentally. I was struggling with depression and anxiety, but Victor made me feel safe. He taught me a lot, not just about the products and the deli itself, but about staying calm, breathing techniques, meditation. He was just a good person to be around. We used to talk now and then about how we both felt like there was something in the deli, just a sense of energy, nothing dark or negative, just that feeling that you're not always alone, even when you think you are. Then one day Victor went away on holiday. And while he was gone, things started to happen. Bread would seemingly fall off the shelves randomly. Cakes would fall off their display without any explanation. And the radio, which usually played non-stop, started turning off and on by itself. What was strange was that I didn't feel that scared or even surprised. It didn't feel threatening. I just remember thinking, something's here. But it didn't feel malevolent. If anything, it just felt noticed. Most of the staff were around my age or younger. We got on pretty well. Went out after work, hung out at the weekends. It felt like I was part of something solid, something good. And then when Victor was around, things felt normal, calmer even. One day, in the late afternoon, it was just me, Victor, and a supervisor left in the shop. I had been cleaning and mopping, finishing off my shift, and I headed to the stairs that led down to the changing room. The stairs were at the very back of the deli, away from all this bustle and activity. They were pretty steep, narrow, and it was dark. They led down to what was more like a basement than a proper changing room. One single hanging bulb lit the whole place. It was pretty damp and cold and was unrenovated. There were some lockers set up in a semicircle to give us a bit of privacy, but overall, it was a storage space. There were some dark wooden doorways leading off into what I can only describe as pitch black rooms. The kind of dark where you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. And I remember there being odd furniture lying around, like a stool and a wooden chair. to get changed, you had to walk over these old cobblestones that were always wet. You had to balance on your shoes while getting dressed, trying not to let your bag or clothes touch the floor. It was a bit of a performance every time. That evening, I was getting changed quickly, wanting to get out of there, when I heard a sort of mumble. I assumed it was another staff member, so I ignored it at first. And then I heard a shuffle, like movement. So I called out, "Hello?" No response. And then I heard another shuffle. So I called out again, saying, "Sorry, I'm just getting changed." I remember zipping up my coat and grabbing my things, and I walked to the foot of the steps. As I stood there, I suddenly became aware of someone to my right, just in my peripheral vision. So I turned my head slowly, and there was a man. He was standing in one of the doorways that led to one of those pitch black rooms. Just standing there, smiling. Not a grimace, just a smile, but felt a bit off. His eyes were pretty dull, kind of glazed over. Then this man started to move towards me. Or maybe a better word is floated. He didn't seem to walk in the usual sense. I was still standing with one foot on the bottom step, with my hand now firmly gripping the railing. He wore what looked like a baker's outfit, this long white coat and a round white hat. He was tall, at least 6'5", brown kind of matted hair and this round chubby face. He looked like he was in maybe his, I don't know, mid-50s. I honestly thought that this guy was maybe some new employee or business partner that was come to see Victor. I was a bit taken aback, and I actually laughed and said, "We're closing now, you should get changed." But something felt a bit off. The more I looked at this guy, I realised that his outfit was quite old looking, and it was pretty stained. Then I noticed that there was this red stitching on the upper right side of what he was wearing, which spelled out John. The more I looked at him, the more I realised that there was something pretty disturbing happening. The lower half of this guy looked like it was fading away. It was like the lower half of his body was like a hologram. It wasn't fully solid, just faded out kind of below his knees. And he just kept smiling, and eventually he said, "Hi." And that's when I bolted upstairs. I ran into the deli and shouted to Victor and the supervisor. I said, "There's somebody down there." They both looked pretty confused, and the supervisor asked who it was, and I said, "Maybe one of the bakers? I don't know." Even though I knew that the bakers always finished up around 9 in the morning, and this was about 6 p.m. Victor just looked at me and he said, "If it's John, don't worry about it." Apparently John had died 30 years earlier, a heart attack, at work. Thank you, Vicky, for sending in your paranormal experience. Now, let's get into our second listener story. I'm from a town called Barry. Yes, it's the same one where Gavin and Stacey was filmed. Barry is a really nice place to live and grow up. My sister and I have some of the most amazing memories and have both lived there all our lives. When we were little, we used to love playing in the huge garden that my nan had. The garden would stretch right out around the house. In the summer, we used to have water fights with our dad and Bampy. Bampy is a nickname that we use here in Wales for grandfather. If I'm honest, my nan and Bam's house always gave me the creeps. There was something about that house that was just really unsettling. There was a huge window which was the front bedroom, and every time I looked up there from the garden, my heart would race. Nothing paranormal had ever happened there up until that point. My sister and I wouldn't often stay the night because both of us had this uneasy feeling whilst upstairs. The house was originally a bungalow, but an extension was added on and that gave a second floor. The stairs were pretty steep from what I remember, and the house was definitely silent. All you could hear was the tick-tock of the grandfather clock, which I now have after inheriting it. Both grandparents are passed away. One evening after finishing our supper, Nan took us up to bed. My sister and I refused to stay in separate rooms and would always insist on sharing the double bed at the front of the house. I have memories of Nan singing to us and talking to us about God. She was a really religious lady. On this particular weekend, the reason why we were staying with my Nan on our dad's side is because our other Nan had passed away the week before, so it was the funeral. And my sister and I were too young to attend. That night my sister and I were lying in bed just talking about our day and plans for tomorrow, from the moment we'd wake to when our parents would come and collect us. We fell asleep at some point, but I couldn't tell you what time it was. At some point throughout the night, something woke me. I couldn't tell you whether this was a sound or a movement or a feeling. I just remember my heart was racing and it was freezing cold. The bedroom had a very small bathroom attached to it, so I got up to use the toilet. And as I sat there, I looked over to where my sister was sleeping, and I could see this figure leaning over her, just watching her. And I remember calling, "Nan, what are you doing?" And the figure just stood there looking down at my sleeping sister and didn't move an inch or even acknowledge me. And I called out again, but this time to my Bamp. "Bamp, what are you doing?" Again, there was no reply. I just remember sitting there rubbing my eyes to help me see more clearly. And as I stared for longer trying to work out who or what was in the room with us, the image of the figure became clear. The figure turned, and I remember it looking at me for what felt like a really long time, but in reality it was seconds. And then it just seemed to run straight across the room and disappeared out of sight. That night I just lay there, heart racing, light on, replaying what had happened, attempting to work out who or what was in the room with us. When my sister woke, I asked if she felt or heard anything throughout the night. She said that she had a dream about her nan that had passed. And that's when I turned to my sister and told her what I'd seen while she was sleeping. And then it just dawned on me that that was her deceased nan. The image of her that night has never left my mind. And I kind of find comfort in thinking that was her way of saying goodbye to us. But we, of course, told our parents what had happened, and they insisted that it was just a dream. But I know what I saw, and it was definitely no dream. Thank you to Beth for sending in your paranormal experience. And don't forget, if you have your own paranormal encounter that you'd like me to narrate on the show, whether it be long or short, you can send it to scaryaparanormalpodcast@gmail.com, and it just might get made into a future episode. Thank you for listening to this episode of Scary. Don't forget to press that follow button so you don't miss a future episode. And thank you so much for all your kind words and support in your reviews and messages that you've sent over the last week. I know you guys really enjoyed that last episode, the calls. And yes, there will be more paranormal case episodes in the future. Have a great week and join me next time for another episode of Scary.
When it comes to what your family eats and drinks, you know your choices matter. You're the expert because you know what fits your life. And getting it right starts with good information. That's why America's beverage companies are sharing more information about our ingredients at goodtoknowfacts.org. No spin, no judgments, just the facts straight from the experts for more than 140 beverage ingredients. Visit goodtoknowfacts.org.
They say if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. At Amica Insurance, we're built for our customers and prioritize your needs. Call 877-41-AMICA for a free coverage review.
For adults with Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms, every choice matters. Tremfya offers self-injection or intravenous infusion from the start. Tremfya is administered as injections under the skin or infusions through a vein every 4 weeks, followed by injections under the skin every 4 or 8 weeks. If your doctor decides that you can self-inject Tremfya, proper training is required. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
I'm Dr. Sarah Ray Hall, the founder and CEO of Armra. I developed Armra Colostrum because I know your body was designed to thrive. It's your natural state, your birthright, and you can reclaim it. Colostrum is the first nutrition we receive in life, with every essential nutrient our bodies need. It's nature's original blueprint for health. After a devastating health crisis almost took my life, I made it my mission to harness this power. Using proprietary technology, Armra captures over 400 bioactive nutrients in every scoop, delivering over 1,000 benefits that transform your health at its foundation. Whether for gut health, metabolism, skin, hair, immunity, mood, energy, fitness, or recovery, I invite you to join this collective revival of health and discover radical transformation for yourself. Visit armra.com, that's ARMRA.com, and enter code HEALTH30 for 30% off your first subscription order. This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Calling all daydreamers and date-nighters. Come immerse yourself in the rich culture of Texas and dig into our mouth-watering barbecue. Trailblazers can explore our natural wonders. And beach lovers will wonder why they've never felt so relaxed before. You're invited to discover experiences you can only find in Texas. Visit TravelTexas.com and plan your trip today. Let's Texas.
I had that dream again. My small business needs IT help, but I don't use LinkedIn. And I hire wrong. So then I'm doing IT, and when I go to plug the servers in, they become sentient. And they won't let us access our network unless we forward their chain emails and memes to more and more and more people, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant finds and invites best-fit candidates to apply, so you can discover talent you may have missed. Get 50% off your first job post at linkedin.com/Pandora offer. Terms and conditions apply.
If your small business is booming, you might say, cha-ching! But you should say, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And we'll help your growing business. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.